Good morning, greetings, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being, and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 31 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle. But what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that healing, renewing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, if you or a loved one has a health challenge you need help dealing with, we are here for you on The Bright Side. We welcome your phone calls at 844-236-6010. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity business, longevity products, formulations, ingredients, a comment or success story you'd like to share, 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you're advertised or recommended on The Bright Side, you can go to our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. We've got news, stories, blog posts, videos on all the websites, also archive pages at brightsideben.com and also benfuchsarchives.com. You can purchase your longevity products off the websites. You can also sign up to join the Bright Side Ben team off the websites as well. For a one-time $25 fee, you can be in business. We can help you build your business. I do talks all over the country helping build longevity businesses for people. I was in Longmont yesterday with Dr. Wallach. By the way, if you haven't seen Dr. Wallach, oh my God, his talks are over the top amazing. And if you have seen him, and I've seen him dozens of times, his presentations are always updated and they're always new. I learned a whole bunch of stuff yesterday that I didn't know about. Did a talk myself for Farmer Glenn and Marianne Nyhouse and a few other folks. Anyway, if you're interested in building a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you like the entrepreneur lifestyle, if you like the idea of working out of your home, if you like the idea of being in the health business, of being in the nutrition business, of helping people at the most fundamental level, and that is the level of their health, for a one-time $25 fee, you can be in business. Click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And also, I would like to remind you to check out our Truth Treatment products at truthtreatments.com. Truth Transdermal C-Balm, Truth Transdermal C-Serum, voted one of the top 150 products in the world by Harper's Bazaar magazine. Truth Retinol 5% Gel and Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream are all up at truthtreatments.com. We've got a skin health blog up there as well. And also, if you're interested in just keeping up with all the latest and greatest from Truth Treatments, we have new products coming out in the next month or two. You can go to our Facebook page and we'll update. We do constant updates at the Facebook page. It's called The Truth with Ben, and there's articles there and stories as well. And that's The Truth with Ben. That's our Facebook page. Okay, that's it for the PR stuff. I'm the worst marketer in the world. I always forget to say things. But you know what the brand that I'm trying to develop here is the brand of helping people understand how their bodies work, and how simple it can be to reverse chronic long-term degenerative diseases. And I am the worst marketer in the world when it comes to marketing things, but that's the brand that I want to stand for, is number one, the human body can do it. The human body is an amazing, amazing healing system, and while it may seem complex, well, it may seem complicated, underneath the most complex phenomena, you will find simple, basic building blocks. These represent leverage. They represent power points. which is important if you're healthy, if you want to stay healthy, but it's uber, extra important if you're sick to understand these leverage points that are always at the foundation of how the body breaks down. The three major leverage points, of course, which we talk about all the time, the triangle of disease, are the digestive system and the blood sugar system. And the third point on the triangle of disease, which itself, by the way, is secondary to the digestive system and the blood sugar system. If you really want to simplify things, it's all about the blood sugar system and digestion. Then cortisol gets into the act. But at the foundation, it's not a triangle of disease, it's a line of disease. And that is the line between, number one, digestive system breakdown, and number two, blood sugar issues. If you want to just simplify it like that, there you go, right there. I like throwing in cortisol because there's things that we could do to lower our cortisol, aside from working with the digestive system and the blood sugar system. So you can kind of work on your cortisol by itself, and we should all be doing that. Cortisol is cholesterol. It's a cholesterol, a version of cholesterol. It's referred to as a stress hormone, but really it's a stress management hormone. It's not a stress hormone. That sends the wrong message. It's a stress management hormone. It helps us manage stress. Under conditions of psychological duress as well as physical inflammation, mostly illness and inflammation, will jack up your cortisol. Psychological illness will jack up your cortisol. Psychological duress as well as physiologic duress. Remember, cortisol, its main role, or one of its main roles, is it's an anti-inflammatory. That's why it's used in therapies, because it's an anti-inflammatory. It's your body's natural Motrin. It's your body's natural Tylenol. It's secreted when there's inflammation. And that's not a bad thing, because just the right amount of cortisol has anti-inflammatory properties, helps stabilize things, gets us out of a jam, at least from an evolutionary African savanna perspective. We all grew up on the African savanna. At least our bodies grew up and developed and were refined and fine-tuned over the course of 100,000, 200,000 years on the African savanna. And our body doesn't know the difference, really. Our body still thinks, at least biochemically, that it's still on the African savanna, and it is the year 200,000 BC. To the body, that's not a lot of time. Yet over the last 100 years or so, we've created this hypercortisol society, this society, this culture that is almost intentionally, I don't know if it's intentional, but it could be, it seems like so dramatic, intentionally designed to drive up our cortisol. And this is not a good situation for a body that evolved on the African savanna to not have a lot of cortisol spiking. There wasn't a lot of cortisol spiking issues on the African savanna. It was either, there were lions and tigers and bears that you had to run, probably not bears, but there were lions and tigers that you had to run from. But you either lowered your cortisol because you got out of the jam, or you lowered your cortisol because you were eaten, you were dead. There was no reason from an evolutionary perspective for the body to have to deal with chronic, long-term exposure to cortisol. How ironic is it that with civilization, we actually don't have real survival threats, but we got imagined survival threats. We had way less problem with survival threats when we were living on the African savanna than today, because we have imaginary survival threats. We don't have real survival threats, which is kind of ironic. We have imaginary ones. Our brain hasn't gotten the message that we're safe. We've created civilization to be safe, but our brain hasn't gotten that message. Our bodies haven't gotten that message. And most of our survival fears in the year 2018 are imaginary survival threats. And they're brain-generated survival threats from worry and from grief and from sadness and from guilt and from regret. That's our cortisol issues. Now, truly, inflammation in the body is going to be a problem, but that inflammation itself is caused by not lions and tigers, but by sugar, or by eating the wrong food, or by eating too much food. So, in other words, our cortisol secretion is due to things that are in our control, in large part. This is so important because remember, cortisol, the third point on the triangle of disease, is the jumping off point to everything else. And then we go and treat the everything else. And this is why the medical model's a failure when it comes to these kinds of health challenges, because it's treating the everything else, not the foundation. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben, 844-236-6010. Got lines open for you. We'll take a commercial break and come back with more good health information on the bright side right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number, and we have lines open for you. We'll get to your calls in our next segment. As we always do on the bright side, we are on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 at the archive pages at benfuchsarchives.com, also benfuchsarchive.com, and brightsideben.com. You could purchase longevity products at brightsideben.com. pharmacistben.com, criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team for a one-time $25 fee. If you're entrepreneurially minded, if you like the entrepreneur lifestyle, if you like the health business, if you want to be in the health business where you help people change their lives at the most fundamental levels, we can teach you how to do that. We can teach you how to be a health consultant. And you don't have to worry about diagnosis. I always get these questions. I can't diagnose because I'm not a doctor, and you can't diagnose. You're not a doctor. You don't need diagnosis. Using longevity products, using a nutritional supplement program is not about eliminating a diagnosis. It's not about curing a diagnosis. You notice I said diagnosis, not disease. It's not about diseases when it comes to the medical model. It's about diagnosis. The doctor looks at you. He gathers up your symptoms, and then he says, oh, you have blah, 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 blah. You say, oh, my God, my muscles hurt. I'm sore all over. The doctor says, oh, you have fibromyalgia. Or oh, doc, I can't move my hand. My wrist is really hurting. Oh, you have carpal tunnel syndrome. And this is what our medical model is about. It's about naming things. And then we go ahead and treat the name. And nobody thinks about what's underneath the name, the bodily breakdown that's underneath the name. That's why medicine's a failure, modern medicine, when it comes to dealing with chronic, long-term degenerative diseases. It's not about the name. We get obsessed with the diagnosis. It's about the body, not the word. It's about how do we make the body feel better. And that means if you're on a nutritional if you get on a nutritional supplement program, and if you've never been on one before, you are going to feel better quickly, guaranteed. And the sicker you are, the quicker you're going to feel better. And if you still have the name of the disease, you may still have it. You may still have the name. You still may have fibromyalgia according to the medical model. You may have all the markers of fibromyalgia, but you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have less pain. You'll be able to get out of bed. And it's not just getting on a supplement program either. It's all the things we talk about. And longevity is not just about supplementing, by the way. It's about addressing the body and the mind and the emotions. And even if you really want to go all out, about addressing our spiritual connection. It's about addressing the entire body via lifestyle choices. And if you employ or leverage the lifestyle options we talk about on this program, including supplementation, you are going to feel better. And if you want to start a business, if you want to be in business that helps people understand this, there's no better business than longevity, and it's really easy to do for a one-time $25 fee. You can be in business. Just click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. And speaking of lifestyle choices, our lifestyle choices get turned into the body. What I'm going to say right now is really important, so listen up. Our lifestyle choices get turned into the body via hormones. That is what hormones do. Hormones convert our food, our thoughts, our emotions, our water, our toxins, our drugs, our bad relationships, our good relationships, into the body. Hormones are the link between the invisible world and the visible world. Hormones are the link between the outside world and the inside world. That's what a hormone is. A hormone is a linking piece, a chemical that turns the outside world into an action. The word hormone means I arouse to activity. That's what hormeo means in Greek, or in Latin, I think Greek. Hormeo means I arise, or I stimulate, or I turn on activity. And the activity is turned on in response to something that we're doing. And that's so powerful because this cortisol link is the jumping off point to every single disease state you can name, from acne to atherosclerosis, to arthritis, to autoimmunity, to cancer, everything. The problem arises from excessive exposure through excessive stress to all hormones, particularly stress management hormones, cortisol being one of them. Estrogen, by the way, is also a type of stress management hormone. That's a whole nother story. And not only do we get estrogen, does estrogen accumulate in the body from a lot of stress as a way of dealing with stress, it also accumulates in the body, estrogen does, from a constipation and clogged up system. Secondary to cortisol, by the way. I don't want to digress here too much, but excessive exposure to estrogen is also a big problem, xenoestrogens. But as far as cortisol goes, cortisol is your body's anti-inflammatory. So stress in the form of inflammation, the kind of chronic long-term inflammation that many of us endure just by eating the food in 21st century America, just by drinking the water, just by breathing the air in the year 2018 in the US of A. These are all reasons why our cortisol will stay chronically spiked. For most of us, we're dealing with chronically high levels, low, not super high, but just chronically steady state, drip, drip, drip cortisol 24/7, 365 days a year. Cortisol that never returns back to normal as it's supposed to. Cortisol keeps our blood pressure going up. There's a condition called essential hypertension that affects 80 million Americans. One out of 5 of us, probably more. Essential hypertension is a type of hypertension or high blood pressure that doctors say just happens. There's no reason for it. That's what the word essential means. It's just part of you. When something's essential, it's your most innermost. Something that's essential is the foundation. Like an essential oil is the most innermost version of an oil or of a plant. It's the essence of a plant. Essential is the essence. So when you have essential disease, it's your essence. Essential hypertension is your essence, according to the doctor, that is. Because they can't figure out what's causing it. Well, I'm telling you what's causing it. It's cortisol. And you can prove this to yourself by lowering your cortisol. Your blood pressure will drop immediately. One of the fastest ways to lower cortisol is to tell the body it is safe by immersion in hot water, or warm water, I should say. Immersion in warm water tells the body it's back in the safest place it's ever been in. The body gets these signals from the molecules of water and the warmth, the wetness. The wetness and the warmth tell the body it's in the safest place it's ever been in, which is, of course, the womb. In fact, if you get really stressed out, if your cortisol really gets jacked up, you will naturally fall into something called a fetal position. The fetal position, like a warm bath, tells the body it's safe again. Try it. Fetal position will relax you almost right away. So telling the body it is safe is one of the most powerful anti-cortisol strategies you can use. Does that sound simplistic? Does that sound airy-fairy or pie in the sky? I hope not, because it's really powerful. A hot bath will lower your blood pressure faster than any antihypertensive and in a non-toxic way. I suppose if you put an antihypertensive into your body intravenously, you could drop your blood pressure quickly. But most drugs will not lower your blood pressure as significantly, certainly not as safely as a warm bath or a fetal position or oxygen. All those strategies we talk about for relaxing the body are anti-cortisol or cortisol balancing strategy. There's actually something called mindfulness you can use. Mindfulness is now moved out of the realm of Buddhist temples into Johns Hopkins University because it works, largely because it affects cortisol, lowers cortisol. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. All right, we're back on the bright side, and we do have a bunch of open lines at 844-236-6010. If you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, the longevity products, the longevity business, success story you'd like to share, if you have a health challenge you or a loved one needs help with dealing with, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we are here for you on the bright side, and we welcome your calls at 844-236-6010. Let us show you how simple and how easy it can be to turn your body around. The body can turn on a dime. No matter what your health challenge is, the body can turn on a dime. But we got to turn on a dime first. There is no such thing as a progressive, degenerating illness or challenge, health challenge, that cannot be reversed. Not cured, that's magic. Reversed, that's logic. Talking logic, not magic. 844-236-6010 is our number. Before we went to our break, we were talking about mindfulness, and it's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, meditation and mindfulness. I don't do it anywhere nearly enough. They're not the same thing, of course, but they're related. And mindfulness is not some kind of airy-fairy Boulder, Colorado hippy-dippy talk at all. Harvard, Johns Hopkins, UCLA Medical School, Yale, all of these bastions of established orthodoxy have mindfulness centers because mindfulness is recognized as a powerful strategy for health. Why? Because mindfulness lowers your cortisol. What is mindfulness? It's paying attention. Paying attention lowers your cortisol. Just paying attention to your life, paying attention to your day, paying attention to the experiences and events, not running away, but actually being there with the events and experiences of our lives. Do you know it's a great strategy for dealing with pain, by the way? Literally being with the pain, or depression for that matter. Being with the depression, not running away from it. We have a tendency to run away. That running away is what spikes cortisol. But being with your pain, being with depression, being with your life, being with experiences is an awesome strategy for lowering your cortisol. There's some mindfulness apps you can get if you have a smartphone. There's mindfulness training apps. Download something called Headspace. Headspace is a subscription app, but there's some free stuff on there. And it gets you into, they call it gym membership for the mind. Teaches people how to live mindfully. There's also an app, a free app called Smiling Mind. Just download Smiling Mind. Got different modules of mindfulness and guided meditations and attention, skill development for things like paying attention. It's interesting how paying attention to the present moment actually is a skill. When you pay attention to the present moment, you send messages to the brain that you're safe. Because the brain says, well, we're paying attention. We're sitting still. We're not moving. We're not active. We're just concentrating. When you're running, you have no time to pay attention. When you're running, you're just running. That triggers cortisol. But when you're paying attention, when you're still, that tells the body that all is well in the world. So download Headspace, download Smiling Mind. There's also a company here in Colorado, in Boulder, or outside of Boulder, called Sounds True. Sounds True publishes all kinds of new age meditation books, etc. And they have free talks that you can download with the Sounds True app. Those are 3 good apps for you if you want to focus on mindfulness from the comfort of your own smartphone or the comfort of your own living room. You can also, if you want to learn more about mindfulness, the medical pioneer, and I'm talking medicine here, folks. I'm not talking about New Age gobbledygook. The medical pioneer for mindfulness is a guy named Jon Kabat-Zinn. And he wrote a book a long time ago. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Full Catastrophe Living. Where he talks about when you have catastrophes in your life, you can actually use those as a strategy. The catastrophes in your life, you can use those to develop the skill of mindfulness. And he's a medical doctor. He's a Harvard-trained medical doctor, by the way. He also has another book called Wherever You Go, There You Are, which I love the title. And he has a third book, which is like I forgot the name of the third book, but that's like a big, huge book about stress and stress management and attention. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, Jon Kabat-Zinn, Z-I-N-N. All right, tomorrow we'll continue talking about cortisol, and we'll talk about cortisol in the skin. We'll talk about cortisol and weight. We're going to talk about later on, we're going to talk about cortisol diseases, high cortisol or actually low cortisol diseases. And then we'll talk about cortisol and perhaps the most underappreciated aspect of the body, which is the lymphatic system. We'll do that in the coming days as we continue discussing the steroid hormones and the pineal gland. I think we started talking about, and whatever we talk about in this program, it's going to be good stuff. I'm not sure where it always goes, but it's always good stuff. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. Real quick, a couple stories, interesting stories. Speaking of steroids, topical steroid reduces atopic dermatitis relapse in children. A specific topical steroid, fluticasone, whenever you hear flu, F-L-U, in front of a drug, obviously, that's fluoride. So not only does this drug, fluticasone, act like a cortisol, it actually delivers fluoride. Yum, yum. But it does reduce atopic dermatitis because, remember, cortisol is an anti-inflammatory, and when you fluorinate a drug, you make it much more powerful. So I'm not surprised that it will reduce atopic dermatitis in children, but that's not necessarily a good thing. The dermatitis is a sign that you're doing something wrong. So if you're eating the wrong food and you artificially suppress the inflammation that's caused by the wrong food, you're not helping your body any. Did you hear that? You're not helping your body any. Dermatologists don't help anybody, literally anybody. They don't help the body. They may lower your symptoms. They may reduce the inflammation with drugs. And by the way, dermatology, this is basically what dermatology does. Dermatology just basically reduces inflammation. That's their claim to fame. Or kill bacteria. Kill bacteria, reduce inflammations. And what are their tools? The tools of the trade? Antibiotics and steroids. And it hasn't changed in 70 years. Do you know the dermatological strategies and protocols and the dermatological regimen you're going to get put on if you go to a doctor, the dermatologist, for your eczema or your psoriasis, is the same exact protocol strategy with maybe souped up chemistry, high-tech chemistry, but the same strategy that you would have gotten, that you would have been given, that you would have been employing in 1960. Yes, it hasn't changed because it's a complete failure. There's nothing they can do. They don't know what's going on. They haven't linked the inside to the outside because they specialize in the outside. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's go to, my Truth Raider is going to get on early today because I got no calls. Good morning. It's just me and you, Truth Raider. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Benjamin. Can you hear me loud and clear today?
Loud and clear. What's going on?
Cool. Yeah, other networks don't hear me. They don't like me using my Skype phone. They can't hear me very well. I don't know why. But
no,
okay.
I hear you loud and clear, but I can definitely tell that it's a little different. You're on the Skype phone?
Yes. I'm using my computer. Using my internet phone.
You do sound slightly digital. Very, very slightly digital is what it is.
Like digital, okay. All right, I'll expose my digital display. No, I had an excruciating, out of nowhere, it came up like a wave of an ache in the foot and an excruciating, burning wave of ache and pain where I could not walk for about 3 to 5 minutes.
You're falling apart on us, buddy. You're falling apart on us.
Yeah.
You're too young. What's going on, man?
I don't think we're falling apart. What it is, Ben, is that I think as we get older, we become more fragile.
Okay, you can say it that way. That's a kinder way of saying it. I say we fall apart, but same idea. Hey, hang on. We got to take a commercial. Don't go away. 844-236-6010 is our number. We do have lines open for you on the bright side. We'll be back right after this. We're back on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got a guy who didn't want to go on the air named Dan. You're out there, Dan, listening. Dan wants to know if his morning cortisol was in the 19 range. Is that high? You know, the range for cortisol, the range for elevated cortisol is pretty wide because it's really not, it has nothing, it's not about your measurements. It's about how you feel. I don't really buy into these tests. The range for morning cortisol, the reference range, is 7 to 28. That's huge. That's a huge range. So it could go. You can't really go by your numbers. If you're like at 100, maybe. No, I've never seen that. Or if you're at 40 or 50, maybe that's super duper high. But you don't need that. Just go by your symptoms. Always go by your symptoms. I'm not a big believer in functional medicine. I think it's another way just to scam people and take their money and make you go to a doctor. If you have to go to a doctor to be healthy, there's something wrong. Whether that doctor is a functional medicine guy who uses tests and diagnostics, or whether he's a standard orthodox guy who uses just prescribes drugs and surgery just willy-nilly. Functional medicine, at least they use diagnostics. But still, if you have to go outside yourself to deal with your health, red flags should go up. Unless, of course, you need surgery. And that is where the medical model excels, of course. All right, 844-236-6010. Let's finish up with, hope that helps, Dan. Let's finish up here with Truth Raider. All right, Truth Raider, you say you're just becoming more fragile and vulnerable. I say you're just falling apart, but whatever. It's the same idea. And I don't mean you. I mean all of us. No, I wasn't picking on you. Me too. All of us. As we age, we fall apart. You could say more fragile, but I say we just fall apart. And the reason I say it that way is because when you're falling apart, when you're breaking down, that tells you something. That tells you if you want to get better, you just build up instead of break down. It really is that simple. It's reversing the net catabolic state, which means net breakdown state, into a net anabolic state, which means a building state. And it's very simple. It's just a question of the right stuff getting in and the wrong stuff out. It's as simple as that. I want to get to some more calls here, Truth Raider. Did you have a specific question?
Yes. You're talking about certain methods about doctors there just a moment ago. That brings to mind the methods and protocol of Dr. John McDougall. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, my God. That man, I don't know who he is personally, but I've seen him talk, or I've seen his YouTubes. Oh, my God, is that guy off base? That guy is like 1,000 miles off. His big thing is you eat a lot of starch. He says you should eat a lot of starch. For the life of me, I cannot understand this man's the stupidity of this logic. I don't know him personally. I'm not going to besmirch him personally because I don't know him. But I've heard the YouTube, and I bought his book actually because I was like trying to figure out what is this guy thinking. It's called The Starch Solution, and he says that because we ate a lot of starch as we were growing up, we need starch, and it's just idiotic. Absolutely, he's the only guy I've ever heard saying this. Eating more starch is somehow good for you. I don't know for the life of me. I don't know what he's thinking, although I think he may be conflating the good stuff that you get in fruit with the starch. And there is some good stuff in fruit, certainly. In all plant material has some good stuff in it, and you need that. But the starch itself, that's just absurd to me. Truth Raider, I gotta motivate, buddy. Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it. And time to move on to Rick in California. Good morning, Rick. Welcome to the bright side.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
Well, I'm recent opposite. I'm seemingly in great health, and I bike, about 7,000 miles the last couple of years, walk about 2 miles a day.
Okay.
And I hadn't been to the doctor in probably 12 or 15 years. I went in for a complete physical, and they did an ECG, and they found a left bundle branch blockage. I was having some chest pain. So anyways, I was scheduled to see a cardiologist. They actually did an angiogram and a bunch of ultrasound type of things and such to see if there was any blockage anywhere. And what they determined was that my heart was in great shape. They did a stress test. I was in the top 1 percentile. But
Sounds
they want to put me... But they want to. I eat very healthy. My wife and I mostly organic.
You sound awesome. How old are you? How old are you, Rick?
59.
Your weight's good?
My weight's 165.
How tall?
5'10".
And you're like muscle, 165 of muscle, low body fat?
Low body fat, yes.
Sex good without getting into details? Any issues there?
No.
Dude, I wouldn't worry about it. I don't know what they like to drug people. You don't sound like you need drugs to me.
I don't understand what it's this.
Because you're assuming. Here's what you don't understand.
Proprol is what they want to put me on.
It's an awful drug. It's a terrible drug. It's a beta blocker. It's an awful drug.
Right.
No, it's not one of the worst of the worst, but it's one of the worst. It's not one of the worst of the worst, like prednisone or blood thinner, but it's one of the worst. So there's worst, there's bad, there's worst, and there's worst of the worst. It's in the worst category. It's an awful drug.
I'm not a medicine taker. I mean,
I'm not going to tell you what to do, and I've said this before, I'll say it again because it's really important. If you have a relationship with your doctor, you have to work with him in terms of weaning yourself off or not taking your drug. I personally would never do it, but to work with a doctor and then get a prescription and then not take it, that's not fair to the doctor. So it's your right to say to the doctor, look, I don't want to take this. I'm not going to take it, or to find another doctor. But once you're in a relationship with him, you got to work with him. So tell him you don't want to take it, but don't just not take it. You follow what I'm saying here? You tell him, work with him. So as far as the drug goes, you don't sound like you need a medicine to me. If you got a blockage, remember your heart, I shouldn't say remember, we've talked about this in the past, your heart will reroute blood. It will develop collateral branches to get around blockages. It will make its own bypass. So it's not like a blockage is something you need to be drugged out for, especially if you're as active and as strong as you are. Now, keep in mind, with all that activity, if you put too much stress on your heart, that can create a problem. So you got to be a little bit careful. And I would be building up my connective tissue if you haven't already done that. If you're working out and it sounds like you're an exercise guy, your connective tissue is breaking down and you're not doing things to rebuild it, this can put a burden on the body. And this is where the Jim Fixes of the world get heart attacks and die. Sometimes people run a marathon and they'll drop dead. Dr. Walk was talking about this yesterday. That's because the exercise puts a burden on the body. It's not necessarily a good thing. We go both ways with exercise. Some people say exercise is not a good thing. Some people say exercise is too good a thing. It's somewhere in the middle. You need a little bit. The stress is definitely important for growth, but if you do too much and you're not doing your bone soup, you're not doing your glucogel caps, you're not doing your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, you're not taking extra vitamin C, you're not taking high hyaluronic acid supplements, you know what I'm saying? You're not using vitamin E and alpha lipoic acid, both of which are important for reducing the stressful situation on your connective tissue. If you're not doing all these things, that's not a good thing, especially if you're really exercising like crazy, which it sounds like you're doing. So somewhere in between exercising a super lot and exercising not at all, that's where you want to be for maximum health. If you're going to exercise, and it feels great to exercise, you can get addicted to it because the positive hormones that are secreted, the mood-enhancing hormones that are secreted. Then you want to make sure, if you love to exercise, that's great, but you want to make sure you're taking lots of rest periods. The body doesn't grow when it's stressed. It grows when it's rested. And you're making sure you're doing all of your basic Mighty 90 essential nutrients. You're on the Healthy Start Pack and a few other things. And, of course, it sounds like you're already doing this, but reducing your sugar intake. But I certainly, based on what you told me, I wouldn't want to take a beta blocker either. You should try it, just see what it's like. Try taking it. Watch what happens. Watch what happens to your energy levels. Watch what happens to your sex life. Watch what happens to your mental clarity when you're on a beta blocker.
I'm just having a hard time, Ben, Mr. Fuchs, I'm just having a hard time understanding what's the necessity for needing to take it.
Here's what you're having a hard time.
Strong, there's no blockage.
No. Here's where your problem is. Okay, understanding that is, you think the doctor is there to help you, and you're saying, well, if he's there to help me, how can this possibly be? He's not there to help you. He's there like a machine to repeat back to him what he was told, like a machine. He was programmed. He's not a bad person. The doctor's not a bad person. I never want to say the doctor's a bad person. He's a machine. He's programmed. Input in, you put the input in, he processes it through his brain, an output comes out based on his programming. You got blockage, output is metoprolol, beta blocker. You follow?
But they couldn't find any blockage. That was the thing.
Well, then I don't even know what he's treating. Ask him what he's treating.
I guess it's for angina, quote unquote. That's what I'm saying. They did.
Do you have angina?
And they came up with no recognized blockage.
Do you have chest pain?
I do. Sometimes it's at rest, sitting. Sometimes it's under physical exertion. Sometimes it goes away in 5 or 10 minutes.
Then that's an issue. The chest pain is absolutely an issue if you have angina. I didn't hear you say that before. I might have missed it. But yes, that is absolutely an issue if you have chest pain. That's a sign that the heart's not getting oxygenated. So I would be guessing that your connective tissue is starting to deteriorate and you haven't done anything for that. Are you doing all the bone soup and the vitamin C and the Beyond Tangy and all the connective tissue building stuff we talk about?
Not all those things. Some of those
things.
Do
as much as you can because it sounds like you're having an issue there. Especially vitamin C, by the way. I would be taking extra vitamin C. I wish you told me that earlier because I would have given you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I take extra vitamin C all the time, too.
Then vitamin E. Then extra vitamin E. Then there's a whole bunch, and we're just out of time. I didn't hear you say that. I apologize if I didn't, or you didn't tell me. So you can call back tomorrow if you like.
I thought I had it, but I apologize.
I might have missed it. So you call back tomorrow. We'll finish up. We got to go.
Okay.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side, friends. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.